تمكين الشباب من الإمكانيات والموارد اللازمة لفتح أبواب الإبداع وتحويل التحدي إلى فرصة تنموية حقيقية، يقول أمين كحيلة مدير لجنة تنمية المناطق الحدودية بالمجلس الأعلى للشباب.
واليوم الحمد لله رانا نشوفوا تطور كبير في هذه المناطق الحدودية والمشاريع الابتكارية والتكنولوجية، خصوصا تلك المتعلقة بالرقمنة، وهو نهج الدولة الجزائرية بخصوص رقمنة الخدمات، رقمنة المعطيات، توظيف الذكاء الاصطناعي في تحقيق أهداف التنمية المستدامة.
هكذا تمضي الجزائر في مسارها نحو رقمنة المناطق الحدودية، ليس لمواكبة التطور فحسب، ولكن لبناء دولة حديثة تكتب بلغة الكود والابتكار وتسقى بعزيمة شباب لا يعرف المستحيل.
With Radio Algeria International, you will not miss a single major political or economic event. Radio Algeria International, our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has inaugurated the 56th edition of the Algiers International Fair at the Algiers Exhibition Hall and visited different booths. Algeria has expressed its deep concern and alarm at the growing escalation of the situation in the Middle East following violations of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the sister state, Qatar. Iran says there is no ceasefire agreement at this stage and expressed its readiness to put a halt to its airstrikes if the Israeli army stops its attack. Hello and welcome on Radio Algeria International. I'm Mariam Barshi. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has inaugurated the 56th edition of the Algiers International Fair at the Algiers Exhibition Hall and visited different booths. This year's edition is held under the theme for mutual and sustainable cooperation. The President of the Republic began his visit at the booth of the Sultanate of Oman, guest of honor of this year's edition. He was accompanied by Oman's Minister of Trade, Industry and Investment Promotion, Qais bin Mohammed Al Yusuf. The choice of the Sultanate of Oman to be guest of honor comes in line with the impetus marking relations between Algeria and Oman, particularly following recent visits between the leaders of both countries, which have resulted in the signing of several bilateral cooperation agreements. The President of the Republic also visited the booth of the State of Palestine, which is participating with its ancestral, tangible and intangible popular heritage. On the occasion, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, affirmed that Algerian industrial companies must increase their national integration rate, especially in the electronics and household appliance industries, emphasizing the need to raise this rate to not less than 50%. President Tebboune also visited the booth of the Algerian General Mechanics AGM Holding, where he emphasized the need to first meet domestic needs before turning to exports. He also called on the leaders of the company, which specializes in the manufacture of equipment for public works, construction and agriculture, to adopt a 24-hour work system to meet domestic and export market needs.
Il faut travailler 24 heures, 3 équipes de 8 heures pour satisfaire les besoins du marché et exporter. En ce qui concerne les moissonneuses, en ce qui concerne tous les engins liés à l'agriculture, déjà حاليا on a une tension في الماتériel. Mais بالنسبة للجنوب, on va aller à 1,5 million. Or nous sommes à peine à 150 000. Alors 1,5 million, c'est 10 fois plus. Et quand je dis 1,5 million, ça peut se faire dans 2 ans et demi maximum. Donc il faut être au rendez-vous. Déjà ce que nous voyons du point de vue qualité, barakallah, ou l'ammal ou les concepteurs. Mais maintenant, on n'expose plus. Maintenant, on satisfait les besoins d'un pays. Si on arrive à cette intégration, l'asperceur algérien, le tracteur algérien, la moissonneuse algérienne, la pompe algérienne, l'électricité algérienne, post-transfo, etc. On fait des économies d'échelle extraordinaires. On est très compétitif parce qu'il y a une intégration.
At the Military Industries booth, the President of the Republic received detailed explanations about the activities of numerous establishments operating in telecommunications, military structures and armaments. He praised their achievements, particularly in areas such as fiber optics, the manufacture and maintenance or maintenance of transmission equipment and the manufacture of explosives, emphasizing that products that are manufactured locally in sufficient quantities should not be imported.
En tout cas, l'importation de la fibre optique, on ne répond positivement qu'après le feu vert à l'armée. اللي يقول لك صح هذا مازال ما ناش ننتجوه إذا كان فيه إنتاج ممنوع الاستيراد. الاستيراد يبقى في آخر حل. هذا هو. شوف الحاجية تاعكم مع خواص المستثمرين فيها الإذن بالعباس هذا سوا لي بريفي تاع برج باريج كيف والجيش باش ما نستوردش الجيش vous pouvez traiter de gré à gré بالعباس vous pouvez traiter de gré à gré c'est des établissements publics donc comme c'est une commande publique هما أولى بها ولكن بالنسبة للزوت اللي عنده انتجراسيون تفوت 55% الجزائري يشرع عليه وخلاص هذا بيا السنة المقبلة الدخول المدرسي هذا لازم نغطي بالأقل 50-60% si on peut aller plus loin إن شاء الله.
President Tebboune also emphasized the need to further enhance the competitiveness of national products, ensure self-sufficiency and promote exports, particularly in the industrial sector, which has seen significant growth in recent years. The Omani Minister of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion, Mr. Qais bin Mohammed Al Youssef, has hailed from Algiers the commitment of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, to consolidate relations between Algeria and the Sultanate of Oman at all levels, as Abakar reports.
In a statement made to the press following his meeting with President Tebboune on the sidelines of the Algiers International Fair, the Omani minister stated that President Tebboune stressed the need to develop Algerian-Omani relations and raise them to higher levels in all areas, particularly in trade, economy and investment. After thanking Algeria for choosing the Sultanate of Oman as its guest of honor for this edition, the minister emphasized the importance of Oman's participation in this event through a large number of companies operating in various economic sectors. He said this participation aims to highlight the culture of the Sultanate of Oman, particularly through handicrafts. The Omani minister also expressed hope that this event would contribute to bringing the Algerian and Omani peoples closer and boosting bilateral relations, which are burgeoning, particularly since the visit of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, to the Sultanate of Oman in 2024, followed by that of His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq to Algeria last May.
Algeria has expressed its deep concern and alarm at the ongoing escalation of the situation in the Middle East following violations of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the sister state of Qatar. Algeria condemned these blatant and unacceptable violations and reaffirmed its solidarity and support for the sister state of Qatar in facing and overcoming this ordeal. In light of such an escalation, which in no way portends any appeasement or retreat, Algeria calls on all parties concerned with the security and stability of the Middle East to pull efforts to thwart the criminal and destructive plans hatched against the states and peoples of the region. He said the Israeli aggressor aims to impose an absolute hegemony and it no longer hesitates to openly display its plans with complete impunity and without accountability or prosecution. The Speaker of the National People's Assembly, Mr. Brahim Boughali, is on an official visit to Mauritania at the invitation of his counterpart, the President of the Mauritanian National Assembly, Mr. Mohamed Bamba Maguette. The visit, which will last 4 days, is an opportunity to exchange views on issues of common concerns and to examine ways of strengthening coordination and promoting strategic cooperation in various fields. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has reiterated Algeria's commitment to strengthening African energy cooperation and its willingness to transfer its technical expertise to African countries at the 17th US-Africa Business Summit in Luanda, Angola. The details with Asya Bakar.
In a speech read on his behalf by the Minister of State in charge of Energy, Mines and Renewable Energies, Mr. Mohamed Arkab, the President reaffirmed this commitment during the high-level plenary session held under the theme Strengthening Energy Partnerships between Africa and the United States from Dialogue to Implementation. It brought together heads of state and government ministers, government officials, as well as leaders of major African and American companies operating in the fields of energy, mining, and renewable energy. He recorded that Africa has oil reserves estimated at between 125 and 130 billion barrels, around 7 to 9% of world reserves, and natural gas reserves in excess of 17 trillion million cubic meters, more than 13% of world reserves, noting that 40% of all new gas discoveries made between 2010 and 2020 were made in Africa. He added that the continent holds 60% of the world's solar potential, and its projected renewable energy capacity will exceed electricity demand by 1,000 times by 2040, while the continent accounts for just 3% of global renewable energy production. President Tebboune highlighted the importance of the major projects launched by Algeria to strengthen continental energy integration, notably the Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline Project, Regional Electricity Interconnection Project, Renewable Energy Development Initiatives, and the Green Hydrogen Plan, all of which are designed to make Algeria a key player in the production and export of clean energy to the African and European markets. He stressed the importance of the African Continental Free Trade Area in facilitating and supporting cross-border investments, asserting that natural gas will be an essential fuel in the continent's energy transition. President Tebboune also stressed the need to adopt innovative financial solutions and to mobilize significant and diversified capital to ensure the success of the Africa-US partnership, adding that Africa's need for energy investment exceeds current capacities despite considerable financial commitments.
The Minister of Posts and Telecommunication, Mr. Sil Ali Zerouki, is participating in the 2025 Internet Governance Forum in Lillestrøm, near the Norwegian capital Oslo, under the theme Building Digital Governance Together. More details in this report by Jamil Sulmani.
The Minister is taking part in several activities on the Forum's program, which will continue until Friday, including high-level panels on important topics related to the technical and strategic governance of networks, strengthening telecommunications infrastructure, sovereign management of sensitive digital resources, as well as issues related to security, digital trust, and interoperability in a rapidly changing global technological environment. At the opening, the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said that the forum is an important platform, saying that the idea of digital cooperation was bold aspiration, but today it is an absolute necessity and a shared responsibility.
9 months ago, the Pact for the Future and the Global Digital Compact recognized the Internet Governance Forum as the primary multi-stakeholder platform for Internet governance issues. The Compact also called for broader participation from developing countries backed by voluntary funding. Since then, we have begun translating global commitments into concrete action. In Geneva, a new United Nations multi-stakeholder working group is advancing principles on data governance and sustainable development. As digital risks accelerate, so must we. That means bridging the digital divide by expanding affordable, meaningful internet access to achieve universal connectivity by 2030, closing the skills gap, countering online hate speech, promoting information integrity, tolerance and respect, addressing the concentration of digital power and decision-making in the hands of a few, and fostering greater diversity, transparency and trust in digital spaces.
Let's recall that the forum aims to be a major global platform for multilateral dialogue on issues related to internet governance, bringing together government officials, international organizations, technical experts and private sector leaders on an annual basis.
Iran says there is no ceasefire agreement at this stage and expresses its readiness to put a halt to its airstrikes if the Israeli army or occupation army stops its attacks. In a message posted on X Twitter, the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi stated that unless the Israeli occupation army put an end to its attacks, Tehran has no intention to carry on its retaliation. This came in the wake of President Trump's announcement that the two parties had agreed to ceasefire due to the culminating to a total cessation of operations. According to the American president, the ceasefire agreement, due to last 24 hours, provides for 2 stages during which Iran stops all its operations before the Israeli occupation army follows suit. This, he went on to say, will pave the way for an end to the 12-long war, while assuring that the two parties had agreed to be respectful and peaceful during each phase of the process. Meanwhile, Qatar's defense ministry affirmed that its air defense system had intercepted missiles aiming to air base of El Udeid. The news agency QNA said that the incident caused neither death nor wounded, while assuring that Qatar's airspace and territory was safe and that the Qatari armed forces were always ready to face up to any threats. In a similar move, the advisor to the Prime Minister and spokesman of the Qatari Foreign Ministry strongly condemned the attack carried out by the Iranian Revolution Guards as a blatant violation of Qatar's sovereignty, of the international law and UN Charter. He affirmed that the pursuit of such military escalation would deal a blow to the region's security and stability. The International Committee of the Red Cross has announced that one of its collaborators was recently killed in the continued Israeli bombardments of Gaza. He was the fifth ICRC collaborator to be killed since the Israeli occupying army launched its military operations on Gaza. This came as France and Germany insisted on the importance of reaching a ceasefire and allow for a resumption of humanitarian aid. 15 international human rights organizations have called on the Israeli occupier and the US-backed Gaza food delivery group Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and other private groups running humanitarian aid delivery in Gaza to cease their operation or face legal consequences. The details with Jamil Salmani.
In a letter sent to the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and the affiliated Safe Reach Solutions and UG Solutions, the rights advocates warned that private contractors operating in Gaza in collaboration with the Israeli occupation risk aiding and abetting or otherwise being complicit in crimes under international law, including war crimes, crimes against humanity or genocide. They also noted that the contractors may be liable under US law and in other jurisdictions. The letter marks the latest warning against the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which has been mired in controversy since replacing most UN-run relief operations in Gaza. Major aid groups have boycotted it and accused it of violating the principles of neutrality and independence that are bedrocks of humanitarian work. In a press conference in Geneva, the spokesperson for the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights today called for prompt and impartial investigations into the killings of Palestinians by Israeli occupation forces at distribution points associated with the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and demanded accountability for those responsible.
We are seeing scenes of chaos around food distribution points of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation and the few UN humanitarian convoys. Israel's militarized humanitarian assistance mechanism is in contradiction with international standards on aid distribution. It endangers civilians and contributes to the catastrophic humanitarian situation in Gaza. The weaponization of food for civilians, in addition to restricting or preventing their access to life-sustaining services, constitutes a war crime and under certain circumstances may constitute elements of other crimes under international law. The Israeli military must stop shooting at people trying to get food. Each of these killings must be promptly and impartially investigated, and those responsible must be held to account. The killing and wounding of civilians resulting from the unlawful use of firearms constitute a grave breach of international law and a war crime.
The director of the Palestinian Center for Human Rights, another signatory, Raji Sourani, said it was immoral and inhuman when those committing the genocide take responsibility to feed those whom they have starved.
That's it for today's news bulletin. Stay tuned on Radio Algeria International. In the meantime, I invite you to listen to our weekly health magazine program.
Hello and welcome to this new edition of your weekly program, The Health Magazine. Today we shed light on a condition that affects millions of people across the globe, namely vitiligo. The International Day of Vitiligo is celebrated every day on June 25, a day that honors both awareness and action. This condition does not just impact the skin, It affects self-esteem, mental health, and social inclusion. In this program, we will explore what vitiligo is, its causes, symptoms, treatment options, and how we can promote empathy and understanding. So stay tuned. It's time to educate, support, and break the stigma. Vitiligo is a chronic skin condition that causes patches of skin to lose their pigment. These patches occur when melanocytes, the cells responsible for producing melanin, are destroyed. The result? Irregular white patches on the skin, often on the hands, face, and arms. It is not contagious, it is not life-threatening, but it can be deeply impactful emotionally and psychologically. An estimated 1% of the world's population lives with vitiligo, though the number may be higher due to underreporting. Vitiligo doesn't discriminate. It affects people of all skin colors, genders, and ages. And while it's more visible in those with darker skin tones, it is a universal condition. Let's debunk a few myths and dive into the real causes. Scientists believe vitiligo is an autoimmune condition where the immune system mistakenly attacks and destroys melanocytes. There may also be a genetic component, as it sometimes runs in families. Contrary to common belief, vitiligo is not caused by infections, poor hygiene, or curses. These are harmful myths that increase stigma. Other possible triggers include stress, skin trauma, and even sunburn. In truth, there is no single cause. It is a complex interaction between genetics, immunity, and environmental factors. Symptoms usually begin with small, pale patches of skin that gradually expand. The most commonly affected areas include the hands, feet, face, and around body openings like the mouth and eyes. There are different types of vitiligo. Non-segmental, which is the most common, symmetrical patches on both sides of the body. Segmental, which is localized to one side, and focal or localized, where you have few patches in one area. It may also affect hair, turning eyelashes or scalp hair white, and even areas inside the mouth or nose. While there is currently no definitive cure for vitiligo, various treatments can help restore skin color and slow progression. Here are some of them. Topical creams like corticosteroids or calcineurin inhibitors, light therapy, narrowband UVB is most common, and excimer laser treatments. Surgical options such as skin grafts for stable cases and depigmentation therapy for widespread vitiligo. Each case is unique. Some people see results, others don't, but managing expectations is key, and many people today choose to embrace their skin and not seek treatment at all. Vitiligo is more than skin deep. It can affect confidence, relationships, and mental health. People with vitiligo often report anxiety, depression, or social isolation. But this is where support, representation, and awareness come in. Public figures like Canadian model Winnie Harlow have redefined beauty standards. Communities are now creating safe spaces and advocating for visibility. Let's remember, beauty comes in all shades, even patchwork. There is currently no guaranteed way to prevent vitiligo since it's largely genetic and autoimmune in origin. However, reducing stress, protecting skin from trauma, and early medical consultation may help manage the condition. The key to progress lies in awareness, early diagnosis, and acceptance. As we wrap up this special program, let's take a moment to reflect on what International Day of Vitiligo truly means. It means recognition, inclusion, and compassion. Whether you live with vitiligo or know someone who does, be kind, be curious, be supportive. And with this, we come to the end of this edition of your weekly program, The Health Magazine. Don't forget to join us next week for a fresh edition of our program. Until then, stay tuned to Radio Algeria International, and bye-bye for now.
weekly program Destination Algeria. I'm Jamal Slimani. There are a number of great destinations in Algeria just waiting to be discovered. A curious mixture of cultures and influences, Algeria has something interesting to see in just about every city. The country is also the first largest on the African continent, so you can be sure that there are plenty of towns and cities to visit. Let's visit Algeria's fascinating destinations, you and I, together. The northeast region of Algeria is diverse and fascinating to say the least. With its majestic rugged coastline, high plains, breathtaking mountain ranges, picturesque farmlands and sunny beaches, tourists flock to the various cities and towns located here. Algeria has many noteworthy sites and historical attractions scattered across its wonderful landscapes, and in the northeast region, visitors will find a new discovery in every destination. Traveling through this region is a great experience, presenting an opportunity to explore the true beauty of the country. Significant cities such as Timgad, Jmila, Annaba, Constantine, Betna and Stif are all located in Algeria's northeast region. The fourth largest city in Algeria is Annaba, and it is situated in the Annaba province, known for its exciting and varied nightlife and being home to some of the best beaches in the country. Annaba is a popular destination. Betna province